Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star Part 312 based on novel. So let's start. So, in order to set off together, Luo Feng waited at Dry Wilderness Tribe. However, what Northern Wind, a warrior from this tribe, meant by very quickly was actually a long period of half a year. In the virtual universe, at the peak of Thunder Island, a group of universe masters from the human race had gathered, ready to discuss their plan of action regarding the fourth most dangerous land, the world of Jinn. Universe masters were steadily arriving, and the atmosphere was filled with enthusiasm. Have you heard that there is an existence in the world of Jinn that transcends a true god? I heard that within the world of Jinn, there are many supreme true treasures. Luo Feng, are there many universe supreme masters over there? Every one of these universe masters was extremely excited. Luo Feng was the only one from the human race who had entered the world of Jinn this time. The other great beings were in no rush at all. Primal Chaos City leader appeared. All the universe masters ceased to chatter as the place quietened down. Primal Chaos City leader sat on the main throne with Luo Feng on one side and Darkness Master on his other side. "Dear all," he said. Seated on the main throne, his gaze swept across the crowd. At this point, the world of Jinn has been opened for some time. Other than our Hong Alliance, great beings from the various groups of top powers from Universe Ocean have also entered the world of Jinn. The Hong Alliance has collected quite a bit of information. The other groups of powers have also gathered some information. After we have exchanged information and communicated with one another about certain information, today, I will explain certain things before we decide on what approach we should adopt toward this world of Jinn. World of Jinn. Incomparably powerful. But, in actual fact, it should be considered a fragment of the world of the ancient civilization, Primal Chaos City leader said. The ancient civilization fell long ago. This world of Jinn may be powerful, but its great beings who were natives of that world were eternally kept within the world of Jinn. There is no way out alive. The humans. We are the true protagonists of this era. Luo Feng's eyes lit up. In reality, when he had established contact with the world of Jinn, he did feel the pressure, but now, hearing this. Indeed, the world of Jinn could only be considered a large cage. The great beings inside, no matter how impressive they were, could not leave. Their era was a thing of the past. Now, it was his generation's turn to be the protagonist. It, of course, will never truly be as powerful as the world of the ancient civilization in its entirety, Primal Chaos City leader said solemnly. Yet it was, after all, a fragment of that world of the ancient civilization. To us, who are still very tender, this is definitely an opportunity not to be missed and also, a challenge we should face up to. Now, from the human race, only Luo Feng stands alone in the world of Jinn. Over there, Universe Supreme Masters were known as true gods. And the existences at this true god level are aplenty. And of course, since these true god existences were considered to be supreme masters, they can occupy a small territory. But in the world of Jinn, there are existences more powerful than true gods. So long as we can achieve that level, we can easily transcend reincarnation. Fighting. In the world of Jinn, there is fighting everywhere. The core of the world of Jinn is none other than its army, an army that belongs to a particular majesty of godly king. This army is formed by carrying out brutally stringent selection and elimination processes. Once a great being sets foot in there, all freedom is lost. He must adhere to military orders and undergo various cruel selection tests where the risks of annihilation are extremely high. Primal Chaos City leader added most solemnly, the various groups of powers of Universe Ocean have sent more than 200 great beings in, but solely from what I know, the number annihilated already exceeds 120. What? Exceeds 120? So many. There were exclamations of shock all over the place, even Luo Feng was in shock. Primal Chaos City leader had not mentioned anything about this to him. Yes. Primal Chaos City leader nodded. In world of Jinn, there are many tribes established in addition to the countless ancient tribes. There are many kinds of special life forms and various kinds of beasts entrenched in the wilderness. Walking about the lands in the wilderness is dangerous, as you may easily be attacked. The natives know of certain safe routes, but we don't, which is why more than half the number of great beings were annihilated although they had spent less than half a year in the world of Jinn after entering. No one has been accepted into the army yet. And already, more than half have been annihilated. If the final selections were made, it was said that the rate of annihilation would exceed 95%. Being part of the army, one can have access to the detailed guidance on cultivating to become an existence that surpasses a true god, but judging by the rate of annihilation, it is clear that throughout our entire universe ocean, there might not even be one who could finally achieve the level that surpasses a true god. Silence. The human universe masters who had been filled with enthusiasm and eagerness earlier all fell silent. Even without being accepted into the army, many great beings were annihilated. With the army in the picture, another batch of universe masters hoping to become universe supreme masters, true gods, would be further eliminated, and from true god to an even higher level, the army would not impart their information that easily, so the rate of elimination would be unimaginably high. How cruel. Even Luo Feng kept mum. Indeed, it would be difficult. But he was confident. My human race already has the inheritance of the ancient civilization, Primal Chaos City leader said. In that world of Jinn, it qualifies to be regarded as a high-end inheritance. This is why we should not take the risk for now. We should just observe for the time being. With the passing of time, when more things about the world of Jinn are unearthed, the secrets of the world of Jinn will gradually surface. For those who earnestly want to go ahead, then only those with multiple bodies shall be allowed to venture into the world of Jinn. We have to be prudent. The universe masters started to cool down and were no longer as fervent as before. A true blue great being was fearless, but not reckless. Luo Feng also agreed with Primal Chaos City leader's suggestion. After all, based on what he had learned, there was no inheritance within the tribes. Should anyone want to become a supreme master, the only way was to be accepted into the army. This was the ironclad law of the world of Jinn. Only upon being accepted into the army was one allowed to have the profound inheritance, yet even if they gained guidance, those returning great beings would not dare to impart anything within their tribes. As for entering the army, it was too dangerous. The tragic results of the first batch of entrants seemed to have poured a bucket of cold water over the various top powers. They had been filled with enthusiasm and eagerness earlier on, but the reality had awakened them from any wishful thinking. Inheritance. Within the army, there was a profound inheritance, an inheritance that could allow them to transcend reincarnation, but were they able to survive the tedious selection process to get that inheritance? Supreme true treasure? There were many in the army, but those were standard pieces of equipment made for true gods. How many true gods were there in the universe ocean? Not even 100. And if they were to join the army, more than 90% would be annihilated. Would there not be only less than 10 true gods left in the entire universe ocean? Just to get hold of standard equipment. Just the thought of it could send shivers down one's spine. No rush. We can only enter once every era, so we can take it slow. So what if the great beings who were natives of the world of Jinn were very powerful? They are trapped in there for eternity. Those pitiful natives, still shouting about their loyalty to fight for their majesty of godly king. I think their majesty of godly king may have already been annihilated. The various groups of top powers from the universe ocean seemed to have realized how powerless they were, so they took it as they were the protagonists of their era, while their opponents were merely pitiful creatures trapped in a large cage. They believed as much purely to console themselves, to feel better about their plight. After all, they were all top-tiered existences to begin with, but when they were in the world of Jinn, they became ordinary great beings. Who would not feel terrible when subjected to such an extreme change? World of Jinn, dry wilderness tribe. Northern Wind was shouting for Luo Feng. Let's go, Milky Way, let's go. We must set off now. Luo Feng bade farewell to some friends he had made over the past half a year, then he speedily went over to meet up with Northern Wind. You must come back. Trust me. Do return. If you don't become a true god, you can forget about coming back to me. There was much hustle and bustle as a big crowd of tens of thousands of people gathered consisting of good friends or children who were eager and full of hope. These children yearned to join the army when they grew up. However, The baseline for joining the army was that they needed to be law masters. "Come up quickly," roared a true god wearing a helmet. On his helmet was a pair of horns, one of which was broken. "Hurry." A dark red, huge ship was suspended above him. This ancient ship exuded a powerful aura. Raising his head to look up, Luo Feng saw that this ancient ship was a supreme true treasure. Back when Uncle Northern Rock was in the army, he had made a great achievement, Northern Wind said with great excitement. Thus, he earned himself this battleship. "With this battleship, we will be much safer on our way to the army base. When I get to the army, I will ask for a bigger and more powerful battleship." Luo Feng said, "We should get something better. Much better than this." "Yes, something much better." Northern Wind nodded. The true god with a helmet, who was gathering his fellow tribespeople, turned back to look. With one wave, he gave Northern Wind a firm pat on his shoulder. His pat was so strong that Northern Wind's body actually trembled slightly. "Well said. You are doing better than me, Wind. From our family of the Northern name. By far, you are the most outstanding one. Don't put us to shame." "Yes, Uncle," Northern Wind replied right away. Luo Feng was a little taken aback by what he saw. How terrifying. One casual pat from this true god who had appeared so suddenly. He was worried that if that had been his shoulder instead, he would not have been able to dodge in time. This was undoubtedly a powerful true god, one who had survived the brutal stages of selection and even worthy enough to earn a reward. What might be a casual pat on the shoulder to this true god, from how Luo Feng saw it, in terms of how impressive its strength was, Luo Feng's guess was that it would have reached the level of 9th tier as the top. "Let's go." Northern Wind called out to Luo Feng, who also following Northern Wind into the battleship. One after another, powerful warriors from the clan were entering the battleship. Some started to howl loudly. Apparently, it was a way to show that they were filled with boundless fighting spirit. A short moment later, the interior of the battleship was very simple. The huge cabin could house 800 lofty bodies, where each and every one was consistently at a height of 10,000 kilometers. There might even be some who were as tall as 100,000 kilometers tall, but none dared to make any reckless moves. "This time, from my dry wilderness tribe, there will be 800 warriors joining the East Army." Northern Rock True God stood in the forefront as he spoke in his forceful voice. "This time around, other than our tribe, there will be another brave soul joining us on our adventure, Milky Way. Given Milky Way's power, among all 800 of you, none is comparable at all. If there is someone here who can get into the army and catch up with Milky Way, I will give this battleship to him." Suddenly, many warriors looked toward Luo Feng, and there was an air of provocation. Luo Feng felt a sense of helplessness. He had become a benchmark. He might have sparred with quite a few great beings these days, but these 800 warriors came from different regions of the entire tribe, so there were many whom Luo Feng had yet to cross paths with. "What are you all staring at?" roared the gigantic Northern Wind, who stood beside Luo Feng. "Even I am not Milky Way's match, let alone all of you." "What? Even Northern Wind yourself is not a match?" The simple-minded warriors who had been more provocative earlier on instantly looked at Luo Feng differently. Many of them were in shock and felt a newfound admiration for Luo Feng. The whole world of Jin was always respectful toward powerful great beings. Northern Rock True God shouted, "All you young fellows, I'm not afraid to tell you all that back when I was still a law master, I joined the army with a batch of 800 fellow tribesmen, but in the end, only 21 of us made it back alive. And only 3 of us could finally become true gods. I truly hope that all of you here can be stronger than my batch." Instant silence. Everyone knew how brutal life in the army was, but they were all gathered for the purpose of joining. And now, hearing what Northern Rock True God had to say, the pressure on them grew even heavier. True God. Not only must we be true gods, but we must become true gods of the void space. Northern Wind bellowed. True God of the void space. True God of the void space. Warriors of the other tribes suddenly started howling one by one. This was their dream. That was every warrior's dream, and the entire dry wilderness tribe only had one true god of the void space. It was none other than their tribe leader. All of them yearned to become an invincible true god of the void space. Luo Feng stood aside in silence, with fists clenched, as he listened to the ongoing conversations. A true god of the void space? Based on the information he had, above a true god, was a true god of the void space. Northern Rock True God's lips curved upward as he saw the upsurge of fighting spirit from his tribe's warriors. Then he shouted, "Let's set off." The ancient battleship swept past like flowing light and rapidly disappeared into the sky. The world of Jin was enormous. The 800 warriors from the Dry Wilderness tribe, including Luo Feng, sometimes teleported and sometimes flew fast, led by True God Northern Rock. They met lots of dangers while traveling, and they surprised lots of warriors who hadn't journeyed in the world of Jin for a long time. I heard that Nine Smoke Marsh is occupied by the strange beasts of 3 true gods of void space. Northern Wind looked down and exclaimed. And they lead many strange beasts. Even warriors from the East Army will come to wage wars on Nine Smoke Marsh. No wonder. It's Nine Smoke Marsh. Luo Feng looked down as well. It was a vast marsh, and clouds and mist were flowing up in the air. Sometimes, strange beasts appeared in the mist, and there were a great many true gods. It was a power 10 times stronger than Dry Wilderness tribe. 3 true gods of void space. Luo Feng exclaimed. It could be said that there were 2 kinds of powers in world of Jin, tribes and strange beasts. They all submitted to the armies. Armies were superior, but sometimes, to train the warriors, they would send ordinary warriors to fight those strange beasts and tribes. However, those fights were all just practice, so true gods of void space didn't need to meddle. They kept moving forward. Even Luo Feng was amazed at how many powerful creatures there were in the world of Jin. There are around 1,000 true gods in Dry Wilderness tribe. As for Nine Smoke Marsh, there are 10,000 true gods, Luo Feng thought. There are countless tribes and strange beasts in the world of Jin. How many great beings are there in the army? Northern Rock True God led the warriors, and they were in supreme true treasure ship, so they didn't encounter any dangers during the trip. However, they witnessed many. After around 3 months, Northern Rock True God looked to the sky in the distance and yelled, "We're arriving at the East Army camp." East Army camp. The warriors all followed, including Luo Feng. They could see that the sky in the distance had forces permeating from it. With the ship moving forward quickly, it became much clearer. They could see the endless army camp. It's the East Army camp. Luo Feng was elated. He knew that there were 4 armies in the military, East, South, West, and North. Though they were all loyal to His Majesty the Godly King. And they were also competitors against each other. "It's enormous," the warriors from Dry Wilderness camp all exclaimed. It was amazing. In the Boundless camp, soldiers were everywhere, standing close to each other. The most common ones were universe masters. Other than soldiers, there were also strange beasts who had joined the army. There were many varieties of strange beasts, which dazed all the warriors, including Luo Feng. "What's that? What? It's so tall." The warriors all noticed those strange objects that were standing. Each was over 100 million kilometers tall. Compared to them, the warriors looked tiny. Heh! Luo Feng also looked at them. They were strange objects over 100 million kilometers tall, and they looked like giant, oval-shaped fortresses. There were tens of thousands of oval-shaped fortresses. Other than those, there were also quite a few strange objects that looked like flying beasts. "Those are machines," Northern Rock True God exclaimed. "Those are machines built by machine soldiers." Machines. Machines that can be used by a large group of warriors. Machines that can easily kill true gods of void space. The tribe warriors were all excited, and so was Luo Feng. Of course, he knew about machine-type valuables. He had heard about them from the inheritance from Duandong River, but he only knew about them. He only saw a few, yet those in the distance were all machine-type valuables. "Can kill true gods of void space," confirmed Northern Rock True God with a nod. "That's right. Look at that oval-shaped machine. It's called Jin Luo Sky and Land. It requires at least 1 million true gods to fully control it, and it can hold 10 million true gods. If it's used, it can kill a group of true gods of void space." Luo Feng was amazed. 10 million true gods. It was a top-tier machine even judging by the standards of the ancient civilization. "The best machine the world of Jin has made is Jin Luo Sky and Land," said Northern Rock True God proudly. "The material is very simple, yet the power can reach the apex. Besides, it can be mass-produced. The East Army alone has made many versions of Jin Luo Sky and Land. Even the warriors from all the armies need to use them. It's still more than adequate. There are too many of Jin Luo Sky and Land. They are for His Majesty the Godly King, and they're meant to be used for fighting outside. However, His Majesty the Godly King hasn't summoned warriors for a long time." Luo Feng nodded. Jin Luo Sky and Land was used for fighting outside. The fights inside world of Jin wouldn't involve machines like that. See those small machines like flying beasts around Jin Luo Sky and Land? That's Ju Xiu. It is also one of the best machines the world of Jin has ever made. Northern Rock True God kept introducing the machines. Ju Xiu needs at least 100 true gods to be driven, and it can hold at least 1,000 true gods. It is known for being fast and flexible. It's also great at defense. Even though it only has one fighting technique, it's a very useful machine in a large-scale war. Luo Feng nodded. Not all types of machines were suitable for large-scale wars. There were many great beings in the ancient civilization, and the large-scale wars between major powers could be horrifying. Some machines might be destroyed as soon as they entered the war zone. Machines were useful for the weak, but for ancestral teachers and godly kings, they were much less so. To true gods and true gods of void space, machines were of great use. Great machines that were fit for wars could be mass-produced, and some materials were indeed complicated. His Majesty the Godly King might have died already, Luo Feng thought. Without the summons from His Majesty the Godly King, the army in the world of Jin can only keep making machines based on the previous order. They have to keep preparing and waiting for a summons, yet they might never be summoned. Those machines might be a waste. Luo Feng shook his head. He didn't want those machines. After all, they required too many great beings to be used. Jin Luo Sky and Land needed at least 1,000,000 true gods. How was that possible in Universe Ocean? Even Ju Xiu required at least 100 true gods, which was still over the capacity of Universe Ocean. The ancient civilization is indeed extraordinary. Luo Feng sighed. He wasn't surprised that it was this powerful. The existence of Universe Boat had implied the supreme power of the ancient civilization. If Universe Boat utilized its full power, even 100 million true gods were nothing. Unfortunately, Universe Boat is broken and has to stay there forever. The human shape, which might be His Majesty the Godly King, may be lying there eternally as well. The inheritors of Duandong River have all died, and I'm the only one left. Luo Feng shook his head. It was cruel. He could still sense the influences of the ancient civilization in the world of Jin. The East Army camp was enormous. A quarter of the tribes and strange beasts in the world of Jin joined the East Army, so there were warriors joining every day. The process was strenuous, which was why the warriors who came here for assessment formed a long line. There seemed to be no end. The spaceship landed on a plain. It could be said that 2 true treasure palaces landed in the distance as well. Apparently, they were carrying warriors as well. "Quick! Come out! Hurry! Come out!" Northern Rock True God yelled. All 800 warriors from Dry Wilderness Tribe and Luo Feng exited the palace. They came to the plain. "Go and line up there," yelled Northern Rock True God. "Wait for the elimination. Do not fail to join the army." Northern Rock True God was very familiar with the process, so everything went smoothly. The 800 warriors, including Luo Feng, immediately stood at the back of the long line and started to wait for their turn. "Gosh, how long are we going to wait?" Northern Wind asked. Luo Feng also looked to the front. There were so many creatures, and other than humanoid creatures, there were also lots of strange beasts in the line. Apparently, it was not only those from the tribes who were joining the army. "There seem to be 800,000 waiting in line," said Northern Rock True God, glancing around. "It should take around half a month before it's your turn. Just wait here. There's no need to rush. Prepare for everything that's about to happen. Even the initial screening kills 2/3 of the candidates, and only 1/3 of them can successfully join the army. Luo Feng was astounded. 2/3 died during the initial screening? "Do not bring shame upon Dry Wilderness Tribe," yelled Northern Rock True God. He then left and flew to talk to other true gods from other tribes. "Haha. Zonshu tribe, your warriors have also arrived. They seem fine." The true gods were talking with each other. Northern Rock True God didn't rush to leave. He would wait, as he needed to see how many from Dry Wilderness Tribe would be able to join the army. Time flew by. The warriors from all the tribes and the strange beasts from all the lands were being screened. Roaring, yelling, and bellowing sounds were transmitted from the front of the line. Apparently, the screening process was ruthless. Luo Feng was moving forward with the line. After half a month, it was his turn, along with the warriors from Dry Wilderness Tribe. "Next round, 3,000, roared a strange beast with a bloody horn. "Come in, all of you." 3,000 warriors, including Luo Feng and those from Dry Wilderness Tribe, were led in. They were about to start being screened for the army. All the 3,000 warriors and strange beasts were led by several true gods and headed toward that giant stone arch. "Milky Way." Northern Wind's eyes gleamed, and he transmitted his voice. "Kill as many as possible. If you perform well enough, you'll be selected into the special army." "Special troop." Luo Feng was startled. Northern Wind transmitted his voice. "There are many troops in the East Army, and 99% are in the ordinary troops. Chances are none of the 3,000 candidates can get into the special troop. However, you're very powerful, so there's hope for you. Remember, we need to stay close to each other when we just get in." Northern Wind and Luo Feng then followed the crowd and entered through that stone arch. Hong. The time and space immediately changed after they passed the stone arch. They entered a deserted plain, and there was sand everywhere. "Where is this?" Luo Feng looked around, and soon, the other 2,999 warriors and strange beasts also looked around. They could see clearly an area of 100 million square kilometers, and it was darker in the distance. It was a desert. The control over the time and space of the ancient civilization is perfect, Luo Feng thought. He was standing right beside Northern Wind, and the other warriors were also staying around them. As they were looking around, an invisible force arrived, covering the entire desert. All the warriors and strange beasts looked up. A single horned man in black armor appeared in the sky. He looked down with his cold, golden eyes. Suddenly, 2 beams of golden light shot out of his golden eyes. The beams hit the desert, becoming circles around 1,500 warriors and strange beasts. Then the group of warriors and strange beasts encircled on the left had a blurry red light, while those on the right had a blurry yellow light. An invisible pressure covered everyone, and all were intimidated. The force wasn't strong, yet its superiority and the trembling of godly power made everyone realize that the being in the sky wasn't a true god. Instead, it must have been someone at a higher level. A true god of void space. Luo Feng looked up. A true god of void space? A being who could transcend incarnations? The single-horned man looked down and yelled, "You will be divided into 2 teams. You'll try to kill each other and to kill as many as possible. When I tell you to stop, those who survive can join the military. Show all your power, and if there are any exceptional ones, you might be able to join the special troop." Then the single-horned man yelled, "Begin," and disappeared into the darkness. Half of the warriors and strange beasts glowed in red light while the other half was yellow. They couldn't help feeling ferocious. Damn it. Northern Wind clenched his teeth. Luo Feng glanced around. Although the warriors from Dry Wilderness Tribe all stayed together, almost 100 warriors were still encircled on the opposite side. No wonder Northern Wind told me to stay close to him. Luo Feng looked around. Kill. Howl. The warriors and strange beasts all started to roar and turned into streaks of light. The warriors from Dry Wilderness Tribe all knew well enough not to fight those from the same tribe, and they chose to fight those from other tribes or lands, trying to kill them. Special troop. Luo Feng's eyes glinted fiercely. He had 3 goals he wished to achieve in the world of Jin. The first one was to gather creatures from the world of Jin, especially bodies of true gods, for him to study the composition of creatures. It could help him achieve a life gene level of 90,000 times as soon as possible and became a true god. The second goal was to learn about the secrets in Universe Ocean. And the third was to gather machine-type valuables. He knew about the ancient civilization, so he knew clearly that for the ordinary class and even for the great beings class, machine-type valuables were highly useful. Only when someone became a supreme being would machine-type valuables be rendered useless. The more ordinary someone was, the more useful a machine-type valuable would be. A true god with a precious machine-type valuable could rival a true god of void space. Even though he had Boat of Mausoleum, that was only for defense. Shi Wu Wing was also an assistance type, and it was highly advanced. The complete Shi Wu Wings would be for highly advanced beings to use. Luo Feng needed those most suitable for him. The East Army had a great many machine-type valuables, even ones that could be used by millions of true gods all at once, not to mention those used by individuals. Those within the second category were Luo Feng's target. As long as he could obtain some of them, the humans would have a very strong and stable status in Universe Ocean. However, he inferred that the original mind knew everything, yet it had still told the ancestral gods to guide them instead of stopping them. That meant the more powerful a machine-type valuable was, the more difficult it was to get it. On his trip here, he hadn't seen any true god obtaining a machine-type valuable. That meant only those with special statuses could obtain them, not mediocre ones. Only those in the special troop could obtain them. There were special forces in the army on the Earth, and training was offered in the Virtual Universe Company. The same rule applied here. There were countless soldiers in the army of the world of Jinn, and it was normal that there were special troops who were equipped with special valuables. Broken bodies and blood were scattered everywhere, and the great beings from both teams fought each other crazily. Kill. Luo Feng held Blood Shadow Blade and rushed toward the warriors and strange beasts. He killed everyone with a red light. The blade light was gleaming and sweeping across the area. The time and space were very stable, so there were no space ripples even beneath the power so many universe masters fighting each other. The world of Jinn is a world where there is lots of fighting, thought Luo Feng. The ancient civilization has never ended here, so the great beings are generally more powerful than those in Universe Ocean. He could tell that the weakest ones were at top tier level 4, while most of them could reach level 5 or even top tier level 5. As for Northern Wind, he was covered in grey, and each attack from him could reach level 6. He was the center of Dry Wilderness Tribe, and he had a supreme true treasure armor. Kill. Kill. During the fight, some great beings from other teams might make sneak attacks, which made the fight furiously. They were all universe masters, so it was difficult to kill someone in one shot. However, universe masters fought at high speed. It was not surprising that 2/3 died within half an hour, meaning the weaker ones needed to be careful and stall for time. All they needed to do was to stay alive. The weaker ones were careful, but the stronger ones, especially the two with supreme true treasures, were trying to display as much power as they could. They wanted to be selected for the special troop. They included Northern Wind from the Yellow Light team and a strange beast from the Red Light team. The strange beast roared and rushed toward Northern Wind. Die. You're the one dying. Northern Wind yelled as he rushed forward. The two of them fought each other, and after only a few attacks, Northern Wind was hit on the head and rolled away. He immediately stood up and clenched his teeth, shouting, "Burning godly power technique. My father is the master of Northern True Ocean. This is the power burning technique of Northern True Ocean." The strange beast with 2 wings was roaring, which upset Northern Wind. Luo Feng, who had just killed a warrior from the opposite team, turned around and yelled, "Let me fight him, Northern Wind." Luo Feng raced forward like a bolt of lightning. Great. Northern Wind retreated. He had found this strange beast to be terrifying during his fight against him. It carried a set of supreme true treasures, and he had the godly power burning technique. Though there were rules in the military, and some inheritance information within the military was forbidden to be leaked, the elements comprehended by individuals were exceptions to the rule. Northern True Ocean was a superpower among the strange beasts. There were 9 true gods of void space in Northern True Ocean, and the leader was a mighty limit true god of void space. They all enjoyed high status in the world of Jin. Compared to them, the dry wilderness tribe were nobodies. Die, the strange beast roared and dashed at Luo Feng. Burning godly power technique? Luo Feng sneered. It wasn't anything new to him. There were many volumes in Du and Mier created by the three ancestral teachers, and Universe Supreme Masters could learn the first 3 volumes. It was not uncommon for some great beings to create techniques like those of the first and second volume. After all, the world of Jin contained a rich inheritance from the ancient civilization as well. Luo Feng's shadow took on a blurry appearance. Luo Feng went to the back of that strange beast, and his blood shadow blade turned into a thin trace of light. That light immediately expanded and became a miniature universe, enveloping the entire strange beast. The killings were brutal, and with time passing, warriors and strange beasts died. But the most ferocious fight was the one between Luo Feng and the strange beast. The strange beast had a set of supreme true treasures, and he had a godly power burning technique. Luo Feng had practiced for over 8 million years, and in the space of inheritance, that was more than 8 million eras. Over the course of 8 million eras of training, his blade techniques and close combat techniques had been greatly enhanced. However, he wasn't sure about the situation in the army, which was why he didn't use all his power. After all, it would be incredible if he utilized all his power. He was a talent that was cultivated by the inheritance from Duandong River. And in the world of Jin, all the precious inheritance was in the military. How could he be so powerful without the special inheritance? It was unrealistic. The military might carefully examine his background, which would get Luo Feng into trouble. After he learned more about the military, he could slowly increase the amount of power he demonstrated, improve his power, and get what he wanted. Your godly power is under 50% now. You're not my match. Luo Feng was mad. His body moved fast as lightning. During those 8 million eras, he had created a close combat technique, Flowing Gold, based on the close combat technique Blood Ocean created by the third ancestral teacher from Duandong River. The strange beast rolled and hit the endless sand. His godly body was at less than 50%, being 10 times weaker than it had been at the beginning, and he was not Luo Feng's match. Stop. A powerful force arrived suddenly. If the force before had been like a breeze, this one was like a mountain. The Universe Masters who were fighting all groveled, including Luo Feng. They couldn't resist this power in the slightest. Is this the power of a true god of void space? Luo Feng wondered in amazement. The single-horned man walked down and looked around. 921 survived. You and you. The single-horned man pointed at Luo Feng and that strange beast. You too will join the Python River army. This video will end here.